Hi. All right. It's awesome to be here right now. And thank you, GDG Bacolod, for inviting me. And of course, to everyone watching us right now, welcome to DevFest 2020. It's an amazing time as a developer to come together and learn some of the amazing updates from Google as well. And of course, for you being here with us today, I'll introduce a little bit about myself. I'm Shad Roy de la Cruz. I'm the developer community manager at Google, working closely with the Developer Student Clubs program across Southeast Asia. And if most of you didn't know, I'm actually originally from Bacolod as well. And it's a really great honor to be able to join the DevFest season, especially in my hometown, which is very, very close to my heart as well. So of course, a little bit of a background about me. I used to study in UNOR as a computer science student, and of course, a year after those, I moved to Cebu, work on different startups as well and tech industry, and of course, now I joined the Google team, working closely with the community programs that we have across the Southeast Asia region. And today, I was asked to share more about the amazing things that you can learn from our community programs. And of course, I'll share a little bit more about what is GDG and why this community works, and also why it is important that you should belong to this one. GDG is basically a group of developers who are interested in Google developer technologies, everything from Android to Chrome and other developer APIs that are available right now. As you know, there's a lot of GDGs around the world, and one of the best things that you can gain from from being part of the community is the network, and and a lot of people that you can really learn from, and become mentors and mentees as well. It's always exciting to meet other local developers, especially having this avenue like GDG, organizing this kind of events. And one of the biggest events that GDGs are organizing is DevFest. DevFest is always a fun place for you to meet a lot of these cool developers in our city, and having that experience to train one another and help one another become better developers as well. Um, so a little bit about DevFest. So DevFest 2020 is totally unique to all of our DevFest before. DevFest, for the first time went online and virtual. And a lot of the things that we used to do, like, meeting up physically and having the same experience, have totally changed. And, it's very interesting how our communities also adapted very quickly on moving things online. And I know a lot of our communities as well have struggled and making this as a online opportunity for local developers to meet up. But it's always an exciting time to be in the digital realm right now. A lot more more and more people are moving towards the digital transformation, and it's an exciting time to be a developer. Um, so DevFest, this year bring thousands of developers around the world, having a largest virtual weekend and learning together all the latest from Google and also other open source technology that are there. And the magic of DevFest has always come from the people itself, and like you guys who are watching and really have this interest and passion to learn technology as well. For we have a lot of things that will be happening for the next series of weekends, and as far as I believe, all of you will have a great time connecting with our speakers as well, during the duration. And one of the things that I would really say, the best thing that you can get out of DevFest and the communities that we have is, number one is to learn how to connect, to learn, and to grow. And you, as as a aspiring, or have interest to become a developer, this is really a great place for you to kickstart your career in tech. Um, so just a little bit about Google developers. One of the cool things about being part of the GDG is the community itself. This is basically a great place for you to kickstart your career in tech by connecting with like-minded people who are passionate, with technology. In GDGs, you'll be able to listen to a lot of professional developers having those experiences, those previous experiences that they have in the industry, and seeing how you want that to be part of your personal career as well, or personal development. Uh, if you're still a student, one of the cool things right now that you can be involved in is the developer student clubs. This is one of Google developers' latest program designed for students who are passionate to bring this peer-to-peer experience learning to their university and their campus. I believe we have our amazing batch of developer student clubs lead right now joining us from LaSalle, University of Saint LaSalle, from University of Negros Occidental, Recoletos, UP Diliman, and as well as CPU from Iloilo. Sorry, UP Visayas in Iloilo as well, Miagao. So it's amazing that we have a lot of these campuses and chapters already getting. And if your campus doesn't have a developer student clubs yet, please reach out to our DSC. They will have a segment on our second series next weekend. Get to learn from them, and you will really enjoy the time that they are working together with their local communities as well. And of course, one of the cool things that we have in the program is the Women Tech Maker, as we empower more women to be in tech and really gain those experiences and connect with everyone, learn and grow their personal career as well, and empower them to to become leaders in tech as well. And speaking about Women Tech Maker, we actually have a current program coming out around the region called the Women Developer Academy. So as far as I know, the form is still open, but they're currently looking for those women developers who are interested to become better and really have this gain huge network of women developers across Southeast Asia. So if you're interested to become a women developer ambassador, so please check that one. That will really allow you to engage and connect with a lot of women across the region that we have. And second is learn. I think a lot of us are here because we really want to learn. As you explore your career in the developer, world, you will come across different paths as well, and that you need to personally explore yourself. And with GDG, you will learn. You will be part of this amazing community where there are a lot of like-minded people, as I said before, that you will really learn the best from the best, and of course kickstarting your career and looking for the best technology that would suit you best. Technologies example are Android. As the launch of the recent update of Android 11, more and more people are developing using the Kotlin platform as well. And if you're interested to learn Android, the DSC will are currently organizing a series of events called Android Study Jams, introduction to Kotlin, and a lot of this amazing, kickstart to your career will enable you to have an idea how you can really create those amazing apps. And I believe most of us have those questions as well, like have you, if you ever had that experience creating an app, or and posting it and making people use it for good. And of course, it's always an exciting time to learn mobile development as well. Second would be TensorFlow. TensorFlow is now becoming one of the most popular tech skill. It is for the last 3 years, especially in 2020. The TensorFlow allows you to build different, machine learning models, and really helps you to become AI first. So this is basically the goal of TensorFlow, so that you will be able to master of your machine learning and data uh, science as well. And of course, Google Cloud has been an increasing skill to learn in across the in tech interests as well, and a lot more people are engaging directly, and also getting their companies through to Google Cloud. And if you are someone who loves building servers, and also you making use of creating web application, there's actually 1,000 features that you can find in Google Cloud itself, and you can really maximize your skill by actively joining some of our programs like Cloud Study Jams, as well as explore certification opportunities that you can use as you find your career in the cloud industry as well. Web has always been everyone's favorite. There's a lot of things happening in the web, and web has basically evolved throughout. It's amazing to see how web has become this a huge chunk of our daily lives, and the way we interact with the web, and the data becoming increasingly faster available to everyone. The next question: how are we going to be able to use all this in maximizing our skills as well, getting ourselves ready for the industry, fast-paced industry, especially web developers in today's world. So there's a lot of amazing updates, especially from the Chrome team, with regards to the Chrome web tools, and a lot more other tools that you can learn from the web experts that we have. We do have different YouTube channels, and also places, I mean sites that you can visit, like web.dev, where you can explore more about how to get started your career in web as well. And next would be Flutter. Flutter is one of the most, I would say, it's also one of the favorite tech in this year. A lot more people are moving towards a cross-platform mobile app development frameworks like Flutter. And if not, it's not the most popular right now. I would say it's the most favorite. And one of the best things that it has is the familiarity of the coding structure and the widgets function of Flutter, where it enables you to create apps more fluid and also easy, when building for both, iOS, Android, and any devices that you have as well. So these are amazing tools that you can really create on top of Flutter. Firebase. I think all of us have heard about Firebase. This is one of the, I would say again, most popular, backend as a service platform, but it's actually more than that now. It's both mobile, web development power platform, where you can power your apps and really use different of these functions that it has, from database, from functions, from image storage, as well as AutoML. And it's amazing to see how Firebase have evolved as well over the years, and has been used by millions of people, especially students, and also developers, professional and enterprise companies as well around the world. So it's amazing. It's amazing to see that there are a lot of these technologies available, and most of these technology that I mentioned are being discussed, as well as being talked about in the communities that we have right now, like GDG, DSC, and Women Tech Maker as well. And from Google Cloud's compute engine to Firebase Firestore to Flutter widgets to, and also probably the Chrome web tools, there's thousands of Google developer technologies that you can learn and explore. And most of this are free to try and free to explore as well. You If you get access to Google Cloud, there are free coupons that you can play around and test the system itself, as well as if you do Chrome, most of it are open source technology. Same with Flutter, Android, and TensorFlow as well. especially Firebase. I use a lot of Firebase, utilizing all the free tier that it has. So again, uh, Google developers have a lot of technologies that is ready for you to kickstart your career with us. But again, I don't say that it's only this technology that would work best. There are thousands of open source technology out there as well that are currently in demand by the industry. And it's really important for us to get ourselves updated and really find a way how we can learn this better. And I would say it's the community would really help you out. If you want to check out more about the Google Developer platform, don't hesitate to check this link right here. This is best gateway for you to kickstart your learnings of technical skills as well. And of course, last point would be grow. It's very amazing to see, a lot of our community leaders as well have evolved because of their involvement in the community. And one of the things that really shows growth is when you start building things, building amazing things because of your learnings and sharing this learnings as well. Second is level up your skills. As you learn more, you gain more and more of these skills, and it's faster for you to solve different issues. In the community sense, there are people who will have this kind of blockers, but since you have those skills already, it would be a lot easier for you to share those knowledge and also help them out. And of course, one of the best thing why we learn, these new skills is exploring new careers. As the world evolves, as I mentioned, more and more new skills are becoming, emerging as well at the moment, and it's very interesting to see, probably 5 to 10 years ago, those jobs. Have probably changed over time. We now have machine learning engineers and data scientists, which probably 10 to 15 years ago was not as popular as today. And of course, build your professional network. This is, I would say, the most important part of being part of the community. It really helps you to connect with a lot of like-minded people, as well as people that you are really aim to become as well. There's no shame on that. We all have the different paths that we want to achieve, and again, these people have experiences that would really probably help you out on pursuing your dream. And of course, get more involved, join the community, and share your knowledge with one another. And I would say this is by far an easy and fast track on how you can become a better person, as how you can really level up your personality as well, and get yourself ready in today's world as well. We are in a very fast-paced world, and you'll see a lot of amazing technologies emerging everywhere. And a lot of things are happening, and as would I would say, Google is in the frontier and a lot of this developer technology. We have a wide range of technologies that really allows you to become a better developer. And it's always a passion of the community to support you as a person to really explore different paths that you want to achieve as well. And it's amazing because today we have an amazing video from our team from from Google across the globe, who would like to share more about different updates about the Google developers across the world. And of course, without further ado, we'll launch the video. And of course, thank you for listening, and I hope you will enjoy this time being part of the DevFest Bacolod season. Thank you, everyone.
Hello and welcome to DevFest 2020. I'm Jason Titus, VP of Engineering at Google, joining you from my home in California. Each year, we at Google truly feel the anticipation for DevFest. It's a one-of-a-kind series of developer conferences, and we're glad you can join us and the local developers within your community. Your local DevFest event this weekend is one of hundreds taking place all around the world right at this moment. And what makes DevFest truly unique is that it's run by volunteer community organizers on a mission to help other local developers grow and share a passion for Google technologies. Now, 2020 has been a year of radical change for people across the globe. But when difficult times came about, developers within this community came together online to plan a virtual DevFest where each local chapter could participate, helping each other teach and learn when we need to connect the most. And these connections can be so important. I can remember the first developer conferences I went to, where I met people who were already doing the kinds of things I dreamed of doing. They had started companies, built products, and I got to hear the stories of what had worked and what had gone wrong. And we hope that all of you will get to have similar experiences at DevFest this year. At Google, we've always believed that we are only successful when all of our users are successful. While Google and its products may plant a seed, it's developers like yourself who make the seeds grow and thrive. This community of developers has shown us firsthand how you're using technology to help each other during times of need. Let me introduce you to my teammate David to share with you some great examples. Welcome, David.
Hi, Jason. Thank you. And welcome everybody to this year's DevFest season. I'm David McLaughlin, Director of Developer Ecosystems at Google. So I've been with DevFest since the very first year in 2010, when I was able to join a large percentage of them. Back then, they were a series of targeted events in just a handful of countries. In the years since then, we've had massive growth to countries all over the world. While I really do miss being able to join many of you in person this year, I'm happy to be able to continue this celebration of developers and tech in a new virtual format and bring people together to learn and to share what we're all building. Over the years, it's been great to see the apps and the solutions the broader community has built with the support of their local GDG chapters. We now have thousands and thousands of developers who are working to address real-world problems in their local communities. Particularly during the challenging times of COVID, I'm impressed by how much your work has made people's lives better. There's a few recent examples that truly stand out to me. Community developers from GDG West Sweden recently worked with the Swedish government to create Hack the Crisis, an event focused on designing, testing, and executing ideas in response to recent challenges. One of the finalists, named Remote and Gigs, helped modernize the Swedish government's employment website to match job seekers with remote work. Nearby in Romania, GDG groups organized a hackathon, gathering 270 different mentors and students from across 8 different countries. The hackathon brought together developers to save lives, to save communities, and to save businesses. Some of the winners included an online platform that connected volunteers with nonprofits across the region, a system to help doctors work with each other and to ease online consultations, and a personal assistant for health and nutrition tracking. Another cool app that they developed was Risk Alert, an app that alerts emergency rooms that a patient with a very rare disease is about to arrive, so that the hospital can prepare for any special needs. In Asia, GDG Tainan initiated the Mask Inventory Map at the start of COVID-19, which crowdsources mask inventory from local store data, combining it with the Google Maps API. The project was so popular that it caught the attention of Taiwan's government, inspiring them to publish public data APIs on mask inventory, managed by the government. Taiwan's digital minister has since encouraged the GDG Tainan chapter to create more than 100 different apps to help the local community. In India, GDG Cloud Pune used machine learning with TensorFlow and GCP to help their community with an app that remotely analyzes dental health and helps patients book at-home dental services. They've had over 300 trained images so far, and the developer community is working with local universities to gather more than 50,000 dental images to improve the application. In the Middle East, the region's largest International Women's Day event was held in April in Turkey by multiple GDG groups working together. They had over 2,500 attendees to the event, which included a raffle for online courses and talks in artificial intelligence and data mining. The event helped women across the community and across the region learn and apply their skills. And of course, here in the United States, the GDG Memphis chapter has joined GiveCamp, where software developers in the area donate their skills for nonprofits, as well as helping kids learn to code on the weekends. These are just a small sample of the ways that Google Developer Group chapters and communities like yours all over the world are learning together and giving back what they've learned to really help people's lives everywhere be better. I encourage all of you to continue, be in community with your fellow developers. Think about how can you use the skills and the tech that you're learning this weekend at DevFests, as well as the networks and the communities that you form, the new friends that you make. How do you combine all of these to make a difference in your own area? Now let's take a look at a really inspiring story from Uganda. It shows how a community member started learning about machine learning and ended up building a really nifty app using TensorFlow that detects diseases in plants and helps farmers reduce crop devastation. Take a look.
Growing up in the city, I never expected to work in agriculture. But when fall armyworm attacked, it affected us all. Since its arrival in 2016, this crop pest has caused massive devastation. I've met farmers who have lost everything.
Tubadde tukozesako ddagala okulaba nti akako kulya ki kasooli naye akantu ako tekayinza kumalawo obulwadde obwo ssebo.
So I wanted to use my skills as a software developer to help. At a Google Study Jam, we taught ourselves TensorFlow. We started by building an Android app on top of an open source API. The app allows farmers to spot infestations early, far beyond the capability of human eyes, and suggest an effective treatment. When I was younger, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but then I discovered app development, and I was excited to show people something they never thought possible. Machine learning gives us the advantage against fall armyworm, ultimately saving harvests and reducing pesticides.
Kunkyusizaamu kubanga taata oba jjajja tiyalina ennyumba y'ebbaati. N'ebbaati nazimba ennyumba yange nga tetoonya. Tulina essuubi ne tufuna embeera ennungi mu kulima.
We are just getting started, and there are so many other sectors like health and education that machine learning could really improve. Farming is a crucial aspect of life in Uganda, and I feel proud I'm part of a team driving to ensure our culture can continue.
Earlier, you saw a beautiful inspirational video about how machine learning and Android were used to create an app to detect crop diseases. So, for DevFest, I wanted to get together a few of my friends from Google and beyond to show you how you could get started in building something just like that from scratch in a few minutes. We'll build an Android app and a web app. So to get started with Android, let's see what Chet can teach us.
I want to create an app that's able to recognize information about plants. It's going to need camera functionality as well as machine learning inference. Let's see what that looks like in code. The app is written in Kotlin and uses Camera X to take the pictures and MLKit for on-device machine learning analysis. The core functionality is in Take Photo, where we take a picture, analyze it, and display the results. First, we call Take Picture on a Camera X image capture object that was created earlier. One of the parameters is a callback object which has this onCapture success function. We get the received image into the format we need for MLKit, then we create an image labeler object and process the image. When this succeeds, we receive a collection of image labels which we turn into text strings and display a toast with the results. Let's see what the demo looks like. So we'll take a picture and it says, I see an insect and a plant. So that was pretty easy, rigging up Camera X and MLKit to detect arbitrary objects in the camera view. But the results were pretty generic because the dataset didn't have enough information about our domain. So let's dig a little deeper.
Okay, let's go deeper. Now we need a model for something very specific: detecting diseases in bean plants instead of cassava. Let's explore how to build it. On this guide, we'll use some of the great TensorFlow tooling available. Let's start with Colab. You can understand Colab as a cloud-hosted development tool. We will do all our coding on it, and you will not need to install anything on your machine. Let's start with a new notebook. Let's just turn the title to beans. We will need to install some packages that we are going to use later. These packages are not installed on your machine. They are on a cloud machine that was created for your Colab. Nice, it finished installing the packages. Let's download the data and do some visualization to understand how our data is separated. Perfect. We download the data. Let's take a look on some of the images so we can have a better understanding of what we are doing here. Here they are. These are some of the images that will be used for training our model later. Now we have the data. We need to create a model. We are not going to create one from scratch. We are going to use a technique called transfer learning. TensorFlow Hub is a repository for TensorFlow models. You can find all kinds of models here. Let's start with this one. Let's go back to our Colab. Let's define a model handle. Nice. Now we have the data and the base model. How can we do transfer learning? To do that, we are going to use one of the tooling that I mentioned before called Model Maker. Model Maker makes your life way easier when you need to do transfer learning. Let's create the spec for our base model. Let's create our train variables here using the dataset beans that we've just seen. And now we are going to put everything together with Model Maker by defining a model with the training data and the spec that we got from TensorFlow Hub. This will take a couple of minutes. It finished training, and as you can see here, our accuracy is at 87%. Of course, let's evaluate the model with some data it didn't see yet and see how good it is. Nice, 95%.
The TensorFlow Lite model Gus just created contains all the metadata Android Studio needs to recognize it and automatically build classes for it. To get started, you can update your build.gradle file to include the following TensorFlow Lite dependencies. Then, you'll want to import your generated TF-Lite file into the ML folder of your project. Let's check out the details of our imported model. From here, we can see an example of how to use the model in our app. Let's move over to the main activity class to take advantage of it. Inside of our image capture callback, here on line number 78, we create an instance of our model. Next, we use it to process the captured image here on line number 84. And finally, here on lines 92 through 98, we display the results of consuming the output inside of a toast message. Let's run our app. Now, instead of telling us it's looking at a leaf or a plant, it can actually tell us if it's looking at a bean leaf and give a diagnosis. Sweet.
So this concept works, but it's very much a raw demo. What if we want to make this a more successful app? Well, we'd probably need to add services like authentication so our users can sign in, analytics and A/B testing so we can find out how our users are really interacting with our app, some crash reporting or performance monitoring, and an easy way to save our users' data to the cloud. Luckily, that's where Firebase comes in. Now, the new and improved Firebase plugin in Android Studio makes this simple. I'll start by adding some analytics so I can find out exactly how our users are interacting with our app. And the plugin does most of the work to get the library integrated into my project. Now that I've done that, well, we can get an instance of the library up here, and then we can log what kind of results we're getting from MLKit. And then once we've done that, there's a lot of ways to get at this data. It'll start showing up here in the Firebase dashboard, but I find one really fun way of viewing this data is to use Stream View, which kind of gives you a real-timey sample of what kinds of analytics results we're seeing. Looks like I've already recorded several of these select content events, and I can dig into these event properties and see what kinds of results our users are getting, and I could start using that information to maybe refine my MLKit model or A/B test different alternatives. Firebase helps you build better apps, and analytics is just the tip of the proverbial iceberg. Maybe we could let our users upload their own pictures and store them in the cloud using cloud storage for Firebase. There's so many possibilities.
This is a sample app, but if we were to productize this, it's important to keep in mind how our AI design decisions impact our users. For instance, we need to consider if and/or how it makes sense to display confidence intervals to help your users interpret the ML model output. Or say how you design the onboarding experience sets user expectations for the capabilities and limitations of your ML-based app, which is vital to app adoption and engagement. For more guidance on AI design decisions, check out the People Plus AI Guidebook at pair.withgoogle.com/guidebook. This use case focuses on plant diseases, but for other use cases where our ML-based predictions intersect with people or communities, we absolutely need to think about responsible AI themes like privacy and fairness, which you can learn more about at tensorflow.org/resources/responsible-AI.
And don't forget about the web. I built a PWA that can be installed across all your users' platforms. It combines the web camera with TensorFlow.js, and by integrating machine learning, we can make an amazing experience that runs across all browsers. Now let's take a look. We have our standard project layout with a HTML file, a manifest, and a service worker to make it a PWA. We have some styles to make it look good, and our data folder that contains our TensorFlow configuration and trained model that we're going to use in the app. Now to the heart of the project, let's go back to the HTML file and see what's happening. We're also loading a webcam object. This is just a class that wraps some boilerplate logic to make it easier to pass camera data from getUserMedia to TensorFlow. And now let's dive into our app logic in index.js. So I'm just going to use Chrome and the debugger here. And this is only so you can kind of see how easy it is to integrate machine learning into your application. So let's get started by clicking the classify button and get the machine learning gears into action. And immediately we break into the TensorFlow tidy function. This is just there to help you kind of clean up any of the memory that TensorFlow uses whilst it makes a prediction. We get our image from the web camera, and then we pass our image back into the machine learning algorithm to make it a prediction. Then once we've gotten prediction, we access the data, and then we can use that data to update the user interface kind of based on any application logic that we want. And that's pretty much it.
Great. So now you have the platform for building a real app. With the tooling from Android Studio, the APIs from CameraX, Jetpack, MLKit, Colab, TensorFlow, Firebase, Chrome, and Google Cloud, you have a lot of things that just work better together. This isn't a finished project by any means, just a proof of concept for how a minimum viable product with a roadmap to completion can be put together using Google's developer tools and APIs.
You might also want to open source this project too, so developers can suggest improvements, optimizations, and even additional features by filing an issue or sending a pull request. It's a great way to get your hard work in front of even more people. We'd love to help you with this, and you can learn more about the process at opensource.guide/startingaproject. Indeed, we've already open sourced the bean disease sample we discussed in this video, so you can have a great place to start.
Thanks, Pooja. And as you mentioned, open sourcing a project is a great way to make it grow and inspire people to adopt and extend it. If you want to learn more about what you've seen in this video, please visit us at developers.google.com.
Hi, developers. My name is Annie Jean-Baptiste, and I'm the head of product inclusion at Google. The demo you just saw shows how Google's products can come together to create an amazing app. But what about product inclusion? You may be wondering, well, what is product inclusion and why is it important? At Google, we believe that giving power to new voices is the core of innovation. When we bring an inclusive lens to the product design process, we amplify underrepresented voices and allow all users to feel seen and validated in the moments that matter for them. We look beyond ourselves and seek out diverse voices to shape the products that we build. We also believe that we have a responsibility not to disappoint our users, no matter who they are, what they look like, how much money they make, who they love, how old they are, or anything that makes them them. And when we make difference the new normal, we will usher in new opportunities to grow our business by earning the love of all of our users. So whether you're 1 or 105 years old, live in a city or a remote village, on Wi-Fi or cellular service, Google is there for you to make sure you have the answers you need when you need them. Product inclusion is exactly what it sounds like, bringing an inclusive lens throughout the entire product design process to create more inclusive products for our users. And so when you're developing your own apps, I challenge you to incorporate the principles of product inclusion into the design process, because we believe that you can do well and do good by being intentional about including underrepresented voices at key points in the product design process. Remember, those closest to the problem are also closest to the solution. You can learn more about product inclusion at Google by visiting accelerate.withgoogle.com. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jen Cole, and I'm the Global Developer Communities Program Manager at Google. Now it's time to meet and hear from your local developers. So, what can you expect next from your local DevFest? We'll have technical talks, breakout sessions, networking opportunities, and more. These sessions will cover a variety of technologies such as Android, Google Cloud Platform, machine learning with TensorFlow, web, Firebase, Google Assistant, and Flutter, with speakers from Google, women tech makers, Google developer experts, and your local community. Be sure to claim your badge for participating in DevFest 2020 by going to google.dev/DevFest2020. You can earn even more badges by mastering different Google technologies available on developers.google.com/learn. As a reminder, one of the most important parts of DevFest is providing an inclusive and harassment-free experience for everyone. As an active participant of DevFest, today, we can all agree to treat everyone with respect and to speak up if we see or experience harassment of any kind. Together, we can create an environment that is welcoming and inclusive to everyone with us here today. Follow @GDG on Twitter for highlights from DevFest around the world, and try out the DevFest AR filter and avatar. Share what you're learning or your favorite part about the event on social media with #DevFest. And lastly, don't forget community is all about getting to know one another. Use the virtual breakout rooms and chat feature to connect with other developers near you with shared interests. We hope you enjoyed DevFest 2020.
So welcome to DevFest Bacolod 2020. Hello from Cebu City. I'm happy to be able to participate in DevFest Bacolod 2020. I'm originally from Bacolod and I am missing home. So since COVID-19 has definitely turned many lives upside down, we are here to talk about like how developers or enthusiasts and basically companies right now cope with COVID-19 and the pandemic, everyone pushing to remote work or everyone, basically trying their best to make the most out of what's going on. So with me today in this part one forum to talk about the impact and developer initiatives that they have done during COVID-19. First one, he is the CEO and founder of Highbrain, and also the startup champion for Region 6 of the DICT Rainmakers, Mr. John Dueñas. Hi, sir. Are you there? Pa-shout out naman po tayo. And to all our audience, please chat on the live feed so that we know who you are and if you're listening and you have questions along the way. Feel free to chat in the Facebook Live. You can find us in Facebook. Just search for GDG Bacolod. So I think Sir John slightly got disconnected. This is why virtual events are a bit tricky because from formal events or like from in-person ones, like if you have a technical difficulty, like and you can already know that they're fixing something. Now we're fixing the internet, so it might be taking a little long while, but we will pause for 5 minutes and then get back to you with the part one of this forum talk. So stay tuned. And we're back. So we did a little bit quick break. So let your voice be heard if you can hear me correctly, guys. Or, comment down below. I already see some shout outs. Hi, Salimar from Zamboanga. Thank you for your shout out. And then Sir Jim, my teacher from college, is here. So thank you, sir. Diba? You teaching me Java has one way or another impacted my life as a developer. So I think I've been talking a lot. I haven't introduced myself. Hi, my name is Frances. I am currently a software engineer in Cebu. Originally from Bacolod, I was a graduate of IT in University of St. La Salle. I'm not going to say the year para hindi obvious yung age natin. But I am also going to be the moderator for this community talk. So I'm actually running a podcast. You can check it out at Check It or Leave It in Spotify, Facebook, and then everywhere you listen podcasts to. And I'm also one of the leads for Google Developers Group Cebu. So I introduced one of our speakers kanina. Let me reintroduce him again. I think he connected back. PLDT, Globe, and every internet connection service provider heard our prayer. Let me welcome again CEO and founder of HiBrain, Mr. John Dueñas. Hi, sir.
Hi, good afternoon, Francis.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm all good. It's quite it's been a hectic week for all of us, but right now we're quite happy lang that it's a weekend, so I get to go back to the normal life if it's a Saturday and a Sunday.
Yeah, so thank you for joining us on your weekend, sir, and I'll talk to you later. Okay, so in our forum part one, we also have another awesome forum speaker. He is the manager of the Technological University of the Philippines Visayas Technology Transfer Office. Without further ado, let's welcome our next forum speaker, Mr. Jovel Young. Hi, sir.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. That's what JD had mentioned. It's been a very, chaotic week I think it started 6 months ago, so it's been a chaotic 6 months for everyone. At least we're getting back on our feet, doing seminars, attending workshops. We're just adapting to what the times throw at us. So
yes.
Glad to be here.
Thank you, Sir Jovel. And, just to, add to what you're saying, it's 6 months within this pandemic is a very long time, actually. And, some of us are quite lucky because we still have internet to be able to do this. But a lot of our brothers and sisters, especially in the Philippines, have been affected, some lives lost, and, some also lost their jobs, and some are just picking up the pieces. So, I just want to put this out there. Thank you to everyone who has, sacrificed, our health workers, our, IT guys who are keeping us at least productive with remote classes, everything transferring to remote, and to all our employers who allowed us to transition into telecommuting. So a big thank you. And of course, sir, since you're both leaders in your own companies and organizations, I just want to ask, how was, coping with the pandemic? March 2020, everything was new. Everyone was, I don't know, I think if everyone is panicking, they don't know what to do. What actions or initiatives have you made, or your company or organization have made for the community that has one way or another made their life easier or made your job easier as leaders in your organization? Sir John or Sir Jovel?
I think let me first answer it by saying that I think Jovel would be the perfect person to start the conversation.
I love that answer, sir. I love that. Diba, Jovel?
Well, he's been doing it to me several times already. But anyways, aside from being the technology transfer, actually I'm heading the program for the Technology Business Incubator of TUP. We call it the DOST TUPV Hub for Innovation and Value Engineering. It's Negros Technology Business Incubator. So before the pandemic, actually, we were used to having our startups come here because we provided them with office space. We can interact with them directly, hang out with them, get updates from them, do networking events, do hackathons, design thinking workshops. And then all of a sudden, COVID hit and we were put into quarantine and everyone was like, what are we going to do now? My startups were like, sir, how can we finish our products? How can we continue our training? So it really put everything into chaos at first. And then what brought us back was the fact that this is new to everyone, not just us. So we needed to adjust. And we just went back to our mission, which is to help startups and help the community. So what the Hive did was actually to, the office is free, our equipment are not being used. So we decided to, let's start this initiative wherein we used our 3D printers here and we created face shields during the time when face shields were not yet available. So with the help of the community as well, we were able to produce around 17,000 of them, then donated them to frontliners. We also used the Hive's resources to create misting booths, swab collection booths, and so on. And for our startups, we asked them to, just sit tight because this COVID initially is a problem. But as a good startup founder would always see it, this is actually an opportunity, to pivot, or this is a new opportunity to think of ways to make your product relevant to the new normal now. And that is what we did with in our startups. Actually, one of our startups gained success during this pandemic because he was able to determine that there's a need because of the problem, and he was able to package his whole startup into something that would address that need. So uh, basically, the pandemic really, it caught all of us off guard. We had so many plans, and then suddenly we're not allowed to even see each other in person. So um, for us, I think it's more of going back to why is there a hive in the first place, and it's all about community. It's all about helping, and we built on that. And as right now, we are again slowly getting back to our feet, going back normal, but doing everything online. We're also adjusting, but we're almost there. I think JD has so much to say with regard to this.
Oh, I love that. I love that pass.
Yeah, I
Sir
mean,
JD.
he's always also fond of doing it. I think if I would I would do a piggyback ride on the points that Jovel mentioned. But I would start mine from the perspective of my personal experience. I remember we were celebrating Christmas and the holidays for 2019 when we first heard about the NCOV-19. Then it was called NCOV. January, we were still saying that I don't think it's going to be it's going to reach the shores of the Philippines. When February, we had our first case. February 27, 28, and 29, I was in Manila for a meeting. Well, my team is into healthcare IT, so we basically have to visit hospitals and healthcare organizations. In the eve of 29th of February, I had to go home. 3 hours after midnight, I experienced a weird difficulty of breathing, and then I was having fever, and thinking all the while at first that it's just going to be an allergy. So 2nd of March, I had to call my allergologist and ask for an antihistamine and some steroids. 5 days after being in the steroids, my allergies were not waning out. So I decided to go to a hospital. Normally, when I go to a hospital, I don't pass by emergency room. So I always go to director room. And basically, they would always get to do the tests that I am required to do inside my room. So during the conversation of the resident doctor, he was asking me if I had to travel, if there were things that I have experienced after arriving from a travel. And then it was then that we found out that on the night of the 28th, I had a dinner on the same building of Deloitte. And then it was that day that Deloitte mentioned, released a press briefing that they had one positive index already within their organization. So the doctor was looking at me, and he was telling me, okay, just kind of rest first, and then we will just get back to you if we still have to go through doing your X-ray or doing your laboratory tests. So that was 5 p.m. At 7:30, I was awakened by 2 nurses. And this time, the nurses were wearing PPEs already. So come to think of you waking up to an astronaut kind of looking nurses and telling you that, sir, I'm so sorry, but we have to transfer you to an isolation room. And I said, like, hold on, let me call my doctor and let me call my family. And then, true enough, I was already a person under investigation. Apparently, I was the 7th in the entire province and in the entire Bacolod city. That was a Sunday. Sunday evening, I was transferred to the isolation room. Monday morning, I was swabbed. My doctor visited me again. They were all looking like an astronaut with full-blown PPE. Monday evening, because I am now asymptomatic, I don't have any symptom, I was advised to go home. but then awaiting for my swab test result, my RT-PCR result. During the time the PCR result, the swab specimen were still being sent to our ITM. So come to think of me having to inform my helper in the house that you have to go home. I don't want you to be in the house when I arrive. I have to advise my team that there would be changes in terms of if I have to sign some documents, you have to leave it in my receiving area. There's an alcohol there. So basically, we had to change it the way I was experiencing it. That was March 9. My test result came in March 12. Luckily, it was negative. But then on the 13th of March, I was telling my team already in the office that I think we have to start looking at work from home as of the moment. While we were having stories and hearing stories already that, Manila will be under a lockdown. And then true enough, so my team was able to prepare for it. March 15, not only did Manila declare a community quarantine for their city, but also Bacolod declared. So I think it was like a blessing in disguise that we were able to establish the things prior to the lockdown. Then at the same time, we were also able to kick in our disaster recovery management policy in terms of how it should be done. I think since then on, things were pretty much, and Francis, I think you would be able to relate to this. As software engineers, me heading a software development firm, we kind of more appreciated that we work at home compared to being in the office because we work at our own pace. And that basically, I think, this entire COVID pandemic worked in our advantage because for the longest time, we were clamoring for digital transformation and being in the realm of healthcare IT. We've been saying that, the healthcare industry is the industry that we haven't given so much attention. And I would want to say that I think the pandemic gave us a perfect scenario to move our product in the market and to be able to give us a leverage in terms of servicing clients. By the last week of April, we received an inquiry from San Miguel Foundation, and they're based in Manila. I mean, it's San Miguel, it's a conglomerate. It's one of the biggest conglomerate team. And July 4, they inaugurated their first molecular lab, the San Miguel Foundation Molecular Lab, to be the first automated molecular lab in the Philippines running COVID-19 testing. And we were quite very happy to say that the system running that molecular lab is hailing from Bacolod because it was my team that provided the system. So I think it's pretty much, whether we like it or not, this entire pandemic that has changed our life, it also gave us an opportunity to solve a certain problem. And I think in terms of innovation, in terms of startups, that's where we really thrive. So I think, as what you said earlier, I think I have spoken so much also.
It's okay, sir. Yeah, but I'm glad that you're better now. So you were tested, like you were PUI, you were number 7, with the lucky number 7. And then you took that chance, like, okay, I need to transition the team because, we want things to be safe. Like getting people safe is far important right now, especially now in the pandemic. And I really like how both of you have success stories in the 6 months. Like I've been binge watching, so parang I feel like my progress is not that important right now, but I am happy to see I'm proud that we not we, but from TOP you have created the face shields, even if they were if they were not that trending. Like right now everyone is selling face shields, and then we still have startups that are have gained a lot of success using that opportunity, that they found the problem and then we have a solution. So my next question was actually gonna be what kind of problems did you encounter? Like that 6 months, as much as we say that you have a success, I know there are problems along that area. So what problems have you encountered? And maybe you can share some solutions. We have some business owners or entrepreneurs here in the audience who are probably having the same problem. So what kind of problems have you encountered running a team or in transitioning, aside from internet connection, that is a given, but aside from that, can you share po how you successfully transitioned or maneuvered your way finding that success that you have? Like, let's start with Sir JD naman kasi baka don't give the answer spot to Sir. Sir JD. Yes po.
In terms of the cost, we were not able to project the cost of operations. It was lesser compared to operating from the office because at this time we don't have to pay the same utility bills that we were paying in the past. Like there's no aircon that you're using because everybody's working from home. Even up to this time, even if our industry is telling us already that we could now report to work, I still maintain that if we could still have the kind of approach to do work from home, let's still implement that. Prior to having us sending out our team home, we had to do an inventory as to who has internet connection at home, if there is an internet connection, how big of a bandwidth are they having, and those that do not have, we have to provide that. We have series of team members who are using desktops in the office because of the capacity of workload, and we also had to do emergency purchases for a higher spec laptop for them to bring home because we had to provide for them. In terms of an operation, the operation side of the team, I would pretty much say that I think we were so blessed that we have a management team who are also as crazy and as visionary as I am, that we were able to really consider what would make things easier in terms of flexibility, in terms of policy, in terms of making sure now that we do not really hound on each other in terms of being present all the time, but we would be very particular on the deliverables and how these are being met. In terms of adaptability, I think I would have to go back to my earlier statement that in the past we have been clamoring that the industry revolution 4.0 is actually has to be accepted, or the industrial revolution. But it's been taken aback by a lot of businesses because they think that digital transformation is just going to be a capital expense. But because of the pandemic, there are a lot of people now that they have no choice but to accept that digital transformation is the only way for them to survive. So I think it could now be defined in one statement that digital transformation's requirement or principle, all of us had to step on the acceleration pedal for it to be accepted by the community. So I think it's really more of this entire pandemic gave us that kind of perspective that we could never rest on our laurels. Instead, we really have to make sure that we know how to adopt, we know how to look at areas that we have to improve, and whether we would think that we could just survive being within ourselves or within our team, whatever we do will affect the community, and whatever the community experiences will also affect us. So I think I have to mention this, that on the 3rd of September, we had to volunteer on the Emergency Operations Center of Bacolod City when we experienced a surge and the spike of the number of COVID cases. So pretty much that also gave us a kind of opportunity to see how the LGU is working, how the public health is addressing the pandemic. And at this time, I am very glad and I'm very happy to say that the entire EOC team, headed by General Mel Feliciano, the national implementer of IITF for the Visayas, the same guy who was able to bring the Cebu cases to flatten the curve, is actually here in Bacolod. And what I really admired with how he works is that he makes decisions basing on data. So the importance of database or data management and information and communications technology with his decisions and how the clusters are working are pretty much given that kind of priority. So I think that's how I could share and how this entire pandemic has affected the community.
Yes, thank you, Sir JD. I think from what you've said, like the best solution or the problem that you will have is your ability to adapt in this scenario. Like, how much are you willing to adapt to tech? because tech is the only thing right now that is sort of stable. Like probably our our downfall is like extended, but we don't experience it as much. But I think it's coming, so we have to double up probably in our productivity in order for us to survive in this pandemic. Okay, sige, problems po, Sir Jovel. Like in TUP po, what kind of problems and then solutions have you encountered during this past couple of months? Or probably
Uh,
you're still encountering right now.
yeah. Well, I came from a university first before the hype. So our biggest adjustment was also this modular class now, since we're not allowed to hold any class. But prior to that, our management team in TUP was able to have that foresight that if this happens, we need to adapt to this situation. So we only needed uh, around 1 or 2 weeks, I think, to adjust. So the first thing was, as what JD also mentioned, we also did a survey on like how many students have internet connection. Is that internet connection stable enough, or is it just intermittent, or is students just relying on free Facebook? We also needed to conduct a survey on how many of our students have the devices needed, for online class. And then, as it turns out, we may not be able to go full online because of the limitations of our students. So we came up with solutions like, let's go modular, and then we can hold online classes for a selected number of students. And then uh, we were also waiting for the directives coming from SHED, how we are going to proceed with our classes. And then when they declared that all SUCs are to open August, so we decided, okay, let's go modular, and then uh, that's what we're doing until now. And for the most of the teachers are actually doing their online class, though they're not really required to do so. They're doing it by their own free will, because let's face it, engineering is already hard doing face-to-face classes. Now imagine if you have to learn it
On your own. Oh.
on your own through modules, and you're studying several subjects a day. For engineering, it's not really gonna work. So we're trying also to deliver the lessons as much as we can, and we've adapted multiple online platforms for our online classes, multiple learning management systems for our students as well. That's for the academic side. For the tech incubator side, actually we had the biggest problem was that no gathering is allowed. And as we all know, TBIs rely on these events for their input startups. We often get our startups through exposures to events like hackathons, workshops, and that's where we get our startups. Now, when our first batch ended, well, then now we had to look for the second batch to apply. So what we did online campaigning. We went around, we sent emails, we sent queries to people who might be able to, recommend startups to us. Uh, During this pandemic, this is where we realized that we can actually tap the universities, the graduating students for that. Because our second batch of startups made up mostly of students who developed their thesis into startups. So we encouraged them, and then they said, okay, we're not going to take our board exams. So what are they going to do now? So they took their thesis, they developed it, and now they're on their way to, like, deploying their products to clients. They're about to finish their minimum viable products. And on our side, as TBI, we had to encourage them to, this is the new normal. You won't be able to take your board exams in what, a year. So what are you going to do now? If you just keep on waiting, then everything is gone, and now you have to uh, adapt in this situation where you cannot just wait and see what happens. I mean, they're already graduates; they need to find a job. But since no job is available right now, why not create jobs for themselves? And we also went online. The Hive, all of our events were now done online. We paid for online subscriptions for several platforms. And whenever our startups do meetings with investors or partners, they used to do it here in the office. Now, they had to do it online. So we had to cater to that as well. Like, you have a meeting with this person, okay, well, you can use the platform that we are using, and then whatever support is needed by the startups. We also encourage some of our startups to, pivot, like, stop doing this on the offline. You have to go. You have to do this on a digital platform already, like sales and marketing. You cannot go visit offices anymore, so you have to go online. You have to develop your online. We also encourage your startups to create their brochures or their product orientations. Do it online. Like, everything needs to be, they needed to adapt. Now, going back to our initiative for the COVID-19 initially, actually the biggest problem for that was the cost. TUP is a government institution, DOST is a government institution, and we're not allowed to just, donate our resources. So what we did, we actually looked into the community. And the biggest NGO in Negros, the Negros Women for Tomorrow Foundation, actually answered the call and augmented our 3D printers. That's why we were able to deliver. But even after that, we still had the problem because the people coming in to operate these 3D printers are all volunteers. So now we have a problem because we don't have the money to sustain the operation. So what we did, we again went back to the community. We started posting our donations online, like, we've been giving this to these people. And then uh, the best thing about this is the community started reaching out to us. The community started to answer the call. Like, our director, Professor Eric Maluoy, started receiving calls, like, asking him, what do you need? How can we help? Do you have food? Do you need more people? Do you need any help that the community can provide? So we started uh, with, the community volunteered to distribute the face shields for us, and ended up with the community donating the raw materials for or the misting boots. So if the community donated the acetates for the face shield. So I think the best thing that we realized during this pandemic is that the community is one of the best place to really turn to during these times, and you just have to ask the community for help, and everyone comes running with whatever help they can provide. Even the government, like, when we needed access to their municipality, because every unit, LGU is in lockdown. So every one of them assured us that if we show them our passes, they're going to let us in, and which allowed us to go all over Negros. We even sent to Cebu, Iloilo, Dumaguete. So I guess my takeaway for this from this pandemic, even from the perspective of business incubator, is you have to tap really into the community, because there are so many people really willing to help. They just don't know how. So, and we bridge them from the willingness to help to actually being able to help the community. I think that's for us.
Thank you, Sir Jovel. I really like what you said that we need to help one another, or if you need some help, or if you're asking for help, we need others to do that. So it's all about helping one another, because in this pandemic you can't survive this alone. That you can lock yourself in your room all you want. Yeah, but yeah, guys, please stay at home. But aside from that, we need to have like a community effort to in the basic stuff, like aside from donating. If you can't donate, if you really need to go out, wear a mask, follow protocols, and then disinfect, like, because regardless of who you are, where you came from, or what status you have, either you're employed, unemployed, maganda maganda, pangit, COVID will get you if you're not being safe, and you will need others help. You will need nurses and doctors to help you. So it's all about the community. Like Sir JD and Sir Jovel have said already, like all the efforts in the tech community or in the business incubator side, what they have done in this past couple of months. And for our audience there who wants to share their stories or have questions for our speakers, feel free to comment down on the live video. I'm reading through it. And just before I proceed to our next question, I just really want to share the initiative that I have personally uh, been a part of. It's called the Rice Movement. This pandemic has indeed made a lot of uh, Filipinos lost their jobs. About 1 million plus people have lost their jobs. And we decided to help the community by asking help from the community. So we decided to create a GoFundMe, or not a GoFundMe, but we collected sponsorship money and then gave it all to the community to buy rice for them in cities like Manila, Cebu, and Bacolod. And I'm glad that, I'm still very thankful for the community for being able to help our less fortunate brothers and sisters. So, yeah, it doesn't have to be tech related. It doesn't have to be as big as, a donation, or, creating a new solution for that everyone will have. It's all about, keeping yourself updated and then helping one another in this community. And from Sir JD and Sir Jovel have mentioned, I can sum up in 3 points, 3 P's. You need to be prepared, you need to pivot, and we need to be productive in this pandemic. Ay, four pala, may pandemic. So, yun, that's basically like what we can do right now, and in the impact and what our initiatives have gone through in this past couple of months. So before we bring in before we go into like remote work, like being productive while working from home and other struggles of developers, I have last question for you guys, Sir John and Sir JB. In this past couple of months in the pandemic, what have you really learned? Like, we know already that you have to be prepared, that we have to adapt. Like, on your personal growth, personal note, like what the best lesson or solution or opportunity you can share to the GDG Bacolod audience, especially now. I think Bacolod is still having problems with COVID, right? I think our cases are like getting high. I'm actually very sad and I'm very worried about that. I was planning to go home for Christmas, but I don't think I'll be able to go home right now because of the current state. But yeah, for you guys, like in your experience working with the government, working with the schools, like we have modular learning. If there are a lot of memes already coming out about learning, I'm not gonna go into that. But yeah, what kind of learnings or lessons that you want to share, or pieces of advice you want to share with our audience for in any way that can help them in their careers or in their status here? Okay, let's start with Sir Jovel.
Okay. So on a personal level, I think my biggest takeaway. Well, this is not just personal because actually, I learned this from my startups yesterday when we did our session. It's not just all about product development or focusing on development. During these times of pandemic, you can actually focus on yourself. You can actually focus on learning to improve the other aspects of your personal life, your startup, your business. Because when we focus too much on the product, we keep on thinking, how am I going to finish my project now that I can work with my team? But in reality, your project, or in my case, my startup, the product is just like half of the startup. The startup is actually more of the team, and it's up to the team to keep improving themselves even during this pandemic. So what I learned is all of these struggles, all of the problems that COVID has caused are actually opportunities for us to learn. These are opportunities for us to identify, oh my God, if everything goes online, my organization is very weak. If once again we go into quarantine, my organization will not survive. Why? So those are the lessons that we need to keep on learning. And as it's a cliche in the development world, but in every problem, there's always an opportunity. And that is what COVID really proved during this time.
Thank you, Sir Jovel. So in every problem, there is an opportunity. There's always a solution as long as you try to find it. And if you're feeling pressured that you can't do it like a big thing in this 6 months, it's okay. You just need to focus on keeping yourself healthy, keeping your progress on, like, at least ongoing. If you've started learning more because you have a lot of time as you stay at home, then do that. Okay, Sir JD, Sir John.
I just want to ask. I'm given like 5 minutes, right? Not 5 hours.
Totally, sir, 5 hours, but we will not be in this call po. We will leave.
No, I just want to say, I'm gonna highlight I think 4 points. I was jotting it down while Jovel was saying. The first thing that I realized during the pandemic, and I think in the entire spectrum of being in the healthcare IT, is that data is king. Not cash, not anything, but data is king. Because in any decisions that you do, in any strategy that you would want to implement, data would always be your basis of doing it. Gone are the days that we would be, banking on gut feel to be able to understand or to be able to validate something. And me saying that data is king, we have to understand the dynamics of the community before doing anything. Because at the end of the day, you'd have to really be able to give a product that is, very highfalutin in terms of technology or highfalutin in terms of its processes. But if the data of your community will not be able to support that, it's just going to go down the drain. Second, also that I was able to learn is that communication during the pandemic plays a vital role because it gives you that kind of perspective. It standardizes your way of saying things. It basically also capacitates everyone's mentality in terms of how do we make it clear that these are the current scenarios and these are how we should be doing it. I would have to tell everybody there was a time during the pandemic that we were delayed for 5 days for payroll, not because we don't have the funds, but it was because suddenly there was a surge in the case, but I will never allow our staff in the accounting to go to the bank and do the bank transactions. I was telling our CFO, the boss of that staff, that I said, I don't care as to how many people would clamor that they don't have any payroll, but I will never risk anyone to go to the bank just for the sake of having to do it. So it took us a while to get really also into online banking for that one. The third one that I would want to highlight is that in this entire pandemic, we understood that there is no competition. There would always be a collaboration. And I would want to say this, that at the Emergency Operations Center, I was tasked to, look at contact tracing applications that will be used for the city. And I have come across 7, one of which is actually a local startup. One of which that I really admired was a contact tracing app that was done by Harvard and MIT students, and they were giving it for free. One area, though, that we had to consider was that is it very applicable to the majority of the community in Bacolod? And I'll have to tell everyone that not everyone is like us that has, a smartphone and could always be connected to the internet. And we also have to look at the marginalized sector. And having said that, we were able to come across a team from South Cotabato who were willing enough to lend us their application. It was not designed in a perfect manner. It was not a perfect scenario in terms of how I was looking at a contact tracing app. But it was the only contact tracing app that was able to look at the conditions of how the community is in terms of the marginalized sector in Bacolod. And what I'm happy to share is that in the 24th of September, they were awarded by the UN General Assembly for having considered that. My fourth one is that when we are leaders in our own terms or in our own turf, that we are good, software engineers or developers, I don't think we still have the right to put down others' output. An application is an output of a creative mind. So if you say that you would want to do it perfectly the way how you would want to do it, it's as if you are a painter telling another painter that, look, the way you did your paintbrush is not the right way. What I would want to say that in anything, in any pandemic, in any situation, I don't think ethics will be ever subjected to a compromise. Because I think one thing that we have to really understand is it is a community effort. We have to start appreciating things. And I think that's what I have realized, and that's what I have learned.
Thank you for sharing, Sir JD. Yeah, I do agree with the collaboration and communication, especially in the community right now, o, di ba, the triple C's. But yeah, I feel like I'm sounding so cliche right now with all the like words. But seriously, I do thank you for sharing your lessons and learnings in this pandemic. We have a comment from Anne May that she agrees in Sir John's note about making important decisions right now is very crucial, especially that we can affect other people as well. I just really want to add this one. I don't think we tackled this, but especially now that people are so sensitive, it's also very important that we also learn to, appreciate other people's input. Or like, yeah, everyone in social media is toxic right now, and everyone is fighting with their principles and their ideas. And if no one is willing to listen and then accept if they have mistakes, or if they have lapses, and then if everyone is not willing to communicate better, like they just want to be heard but they don't want to listen. So we have to make that uh, especially now in tech, we understand how these things work. Like we created an app. This app should be used for creating relationships in the community, not tearing each other up. So yeah, I just want to say that I don't think like we tackled. I'm not gonna go deeper into how we should solve this one, but I think us in the tech industry should be at least aware that we should set an example. Like if we have mistakes in what we do, we need to accept it, and we need to do research and learn more about it. Maybe this person has a point, or if you have a point, even if they are talking to you badly, you need to be as graceful as possible in replying to it, because we are in the tech industry. This is a phase. This is a rant, so we need to think before we click, especially that everything is online right now. Yes, so we lost Sir Jovel, di ba? I was just talking about people online, tapos he went out.
I hope he's not guilty, ah.
Sir Jovel, brown out daw sila. So
Yeah.
yes, sir, we will wait for you. But I hope that our audience understood what we're trying to say, and you have learned from Sir Jovel and Sir JD's experience. And if you want to share your experience as well, just go through the GDG Bacolod Live DevFest thread. We will be reading that as well. And our next part 2 forum will be in very shortly. We are waiting for our other speakers. But of course, if you want to share your GDG Bacolod experience, make sure to click the like button and share. Use our official hashtag DevFest 2020 or hashtag GDG Bacolod. And if you want to give a special shout out, put that in the comment section. We will read that. We will be pausing for a couple of minutes. CR break lang po tayo. But we will be back to talk more to Sir JD and also Sir Jovel, hopefully, if Brownout will come back. Seneco, please cooperate. But yeah, we will come back with the 2 more developers. We will be talking more about staying productive, especially we're working from home. And if you're working from the office, I can share to you some tips on how to successfully transition to work from office setup, even this pandemic. So we'll be back. Stay tuned. Don't leave, guys. We'll be back soon. one forum talking about the impact and developer initiatives in COVID-19. And for today, I will be still joined by Sir JD and hopefully Sir Jovel in a little while. And while we're waiting, let me introduce to you two awesome developers that I have. You know, they're my batchmates actually, guys. So parang I don't need to introduce them. Like, guys, please introduce yourself, Char. But first one, he is currently working in Bacolod Sky Switch. He's a team leader, if I'm not mistaken, or a software engineer. I'm not really sure about his life right now. So without further ado, Mr. John Irvin Estiamba. Hi, John.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Good to be here. So, yep, you introduced me already. So, yeah, that's me.
That's me, di ba? Thanks, John. Okay, our next speaker is, wait, I think my computer is freezing, guys. I'm so sorry. Our next speaker, I also went to the same school as her. She's also from LaSalle. She's currently a software developer and also a co-owner from Spartanium and Bitronics, o diba? Bitronics Store Bacolod. Let's welcome Miss Dyrene Jagana. Hi, Dyrene. How are you? Diba? So, yeah, 5 years tayo hindi nakita in person. Tapos we see each other online after 5 years. It's so nice. Yeah, so I'll introduce. Hi, Sir John. Are you still there, boss?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry.
Okay. No problem, sir. I just want to say hi again while we're waiting for Sir Jovel. And to our audience, please chat lang if you have questions. We will be talking more or less about, our current situation as developers or in people in tech. How are we coping in the pandemic right now? We're transitioning to work from home, and then we're we see a lot of posts in social media about creating their own workspaces, like trying to recreate the best workspace setup so to increase productivity. The question is, are we really productive, or are we just trying our best to submit good work one day at a time? So yeah, let me start with you, John. How does it feel like going back to your house? Like, I heard, guys, we are actually friends in real life, so parang hindi the others are the real friends, but he told me that he bought a lot of routers just to get internet ready in their home. So John, how was transitioning into a work from home setup for you? How is it for you? Like, what's the ups and downs? Like, go.
For me, before I was living in a city I'm from Cebu City before, so I was working there. And connectivity is not an issue. I mean, there are a lot of options. You have fiber, DSL, and even 4G. You're be able to get decent speed. But since the pandemic began, I moved back to my hometown, which is far from the city, and there's a very limited connectivity. So what I did was to be creative. I have to tweak my modems. I know it's not advisable, but yeah. So I have to tweak my modems, buy parabolic antennas to be able to get um, um, decent speeds. So yeah. So moving back home during this pandemic is, I can say, um, expensive, but yeah, it's I think it's Call of Duty because you need it to earn money, so you have to invest. So yeah, how about you, Darian?
Actually, with regard to my work as a remote software developer, actually I've been working remotely for more than 2 years now, and I can say it's pretty much the same as before this whole pandemic thing under happened. Because I see our work environment adapts well in situations like this. But maybe like how the pandemic impacts maybe on the workforce itself. I mean, in terms of productivity. For example, I'm a person who gets out a lot. I mean, I usually take a quick bicycle ride before I start work, and during weekends, I bike long rides like yes, usually during weekends. And when the government decides to temporarily ban recreational activities such as biking, and it's been for weeks, and then another week, and then another week, it's like I don't have anything in mind how to fill those empty hours that's supposed to be for biking. And biking is my sort of it's where I get perspective, especially in software development, that productivity is not something that you can just study or something that you learn, but productivity is something that you acquire. I mean, we get it through talking to other people, the interaction, something like that. And we are just and in this pandemic era, um, the communication, I mean, the interaction is very limited. And but if we are going to look at it, um, actually, what keeps our community connected are actually the tech makers. I mean, through the systems, apps, what else? Mobile applications, websites, and other online platforms. It's because everyone is online, like work from home setup, selling online, even reaching out to community is being done online. And it's like also businesses are studying how they can modernize to cope up with the current situation. And actually, we are more visible right now. We are more involved right now than ever. So that's it.
Thanks, Nyrene. Like I understand like the feeling to like go out there and then like get your stress out. Like biking that does for you, right? So for me, probably that's eating sangyupsal, but that's another case, no? So
No judgment.
no judgment. But Sir
Yeah.
JP, di ba? I think I I ad-libbed a little bit for you just to come back. Sir, like you are leading a company, and then yeah, we can like say like as a normal employee like what it feels like to transition to work from home. How about you, sir, as a CEO leading a company? Like what kinds of activities have you or problems have you encountered as you transition, like remote work specifically? Like we won't be having a regular face-to-face meetings. We won't be having the Christmas parties or the raffle talagang raffle talaga yung issue dito, no? But yeah, we won't be having the normal things that makes the company together, like like fosters relationships. And sometimes even in Zoom calls, we're all in mute, we're all in video off. So like you're the only one talking, and then they will just say okay or bye bye. Like so that by the end of the call, they would just say bye, so that they felt that they contributed some point at that meeting. But sir, in a company CEO setup, an organization, what kind of initiatives or things that you have done in order to foster productivity in this remote work setup?
Well, I think I'll go okay. I'll have to look at it in two perspective. Productivity in the sense that in terms of deliverables, we maintain the Jira logs. So every day we don't actually care if you show up to a meeting or not, as long as your logs are intact. So we would be able to see if you have, pushed or you have committed something, then we would be able to counter check on it. To be honest, I leave that part to our chief technology officer and our HR. But what I really work closely with the human resource is to really make sure that we kind of counter check every now and then with where our team is. March started with work from home, April, we started to look at more of employee engagement and how to do it. The last time that I have heard was that we did an online game wherein you'd have to do a treasure hunt, and you have to do that entirely in an online setting. And you're right, it basically made work, especially for our human resource or talent management team, quite, I would definitely say, harder than the usual, because um, well, the three of you would have to pardon me if I say that I'm not a tech person. Okay, I lead a tech company, but I'm not a developer. I just come to know of the business as to how it is. But there are some points in your day that you just don't want to talk. You just would want to work. And at times you are way better in terms of dealing with your screens compared to dealing with other people. But if that will not be managed well, you would now have to look at not the productivity issue, but more on the burnout issue. And that is something that I always make it a point that our human resource or talent management team will have to be very particular with. You were right. We never got to celebrate our fourth year anniversary last September 13th. And what we did was to just buy cupcakes, and across the entire province of Negros Occidental, we had to send these cupcakes to all of our team members and create an online event for it. And these are things that how I really pray that sooner or later we could go back to the normal, because Darlene perfectly said it right. There are scenarios that you guys have to collaborate. You have to discuss, and you have to agree with me that not all tech person could communicate pretty well. When you do online meeting, a certain person would mean a different thing, and then a certain person would have to accept it on a different perspective. So these things can actually be changed because of that face-to-face interaction. And that, I think, is where our entire team is trying to also um, understand and appreciate. If there was one area that I was very clear that when we had the third MANCOM meeting, or our management committee meeting, which was again virtual, the only thing that I said was that whoever will raise productivity issue or someone that will have issue in terms of the deliverables, do not kick him out. The first thing that you have to check is how in the world is that person. And true enough, and I would want to share this as an example. One of our management team member sent me a resignation letter online, and I was taken aback, and I said like, we need that person at this time. So when I was reading the entire body of the email and the letter, I said that person is not giving up because she doesn't like the job. It's just that all of the mental issues like anxiety is kicking in, the cabin fever is kicking in. And the only thing that I told that person was that, okay, I will accept your resignation, but do me a favor. Consult a professional or seek a professional help. And then I told the talent management, give that person 2 months, let that person deal with it. And why am I sharing that outright? It's because these are things that are happening whether we like it or not. And these are issues that I think decision makers or even you guys will have to understand that, as what the K-drama is saying, it is okay not to be okay. But what is not okay is for you not to say that, yeah, I'm feeling something is off with me. And especially in the realm of the tech world, it's pretty, it's becoming like burnt out, anxiety, you don't know what's happening, everything is being out of control. And it is okay because that's normal. It's a phase. And I think that's what I have learned. And this entire pandemic made me appreciate my team more and made my team, our team, closer than how it was. So we started during the pandemic as 40 plus, and up to this time, we're still 40 plus.
Thank you for sharing that, sir. I'm glad that you brought up, especially in terms of burnout, anxiety, mental health. cabin fever. Like I personally had that one. I had cabin fever for about a week or two because I didn't go out of my room for about 100 days. So parang I thought it's not really possible that I had something here. Probably my room is just dusty, but I had that feeling and I did eventually like had a little mental breakdown yon. But it's all about being aware about what kind of things you need, especially right now that we might feel that we are isolated from the world, but we should never feel that we are alone. So I like that Sir JD and the HR of High Brain have discovered that issue early on because a lot of people right now are experiencing it. And if you are an HR right now or a company owner or a businessman, if you haven't checked up on your employees, please do right now. This is your like this is your key to like it happens. So please check your employees out. And for our work from home people here, like it's a challenge to actually transition because as Dyrene said, productivity is not something that you can buy or learn. It has to be like a self in the zone thing. Like if you're in the zone, you can code better if you have a clear mind. So it's not just the physical health right now that the COVID-19 is affecting. It's more than that. It's our relationships, our productivity, our mental health. So that's important that we are aware of it right now. Okay, so next question na tayo. As an IT in this pandemic, we have, I think we're one of the lucky fields that is able to transition like smoothly. Like I know it's not that smooth. Like it's expensive, of course. We still need to buy these things. We need to have like good internet connection because if you're not connected, like you can't really work at all. But um, what else, like aside from transitioning to work from home or continuing to have what you call that relationship or meetings online via Zoom, what else can you suggest or tips and tricks that you have in order to stay productive? Like your own advice to people who are still struggling with work from home 6 months in the pandemic. Like this will stay, I think, until the end of the year. Like Google announced that they will not have office until next year. So if you're not productive right now, you need to start doing something about it. So can we start with Dyrene?
Maybe what I can share is actually something from my boss, Teo. He always say to me that go hop on your bicycle, take a walk or jog within the neighborhood or something, which I think is great in terms of mental health. For mental health is really crucial part in software development. And because one cannot just code if he's out of focus. It's something, it is like important that there is a reaching out moment from the employer to the employee and vice versa. Because it would be difficult if only one party absorbs the tension of the environment. After all, our industry is a marathon, and this is not a sprint that just appears for a certain period of time, but this is for a long run, and we actually should be the role model for other industries, because we are the tech industry, and we should really be a role model for them.
Let me just have a follow up there, Dyrene. Like, we are a tech industry. We should be a role model right now. It's like, I really believe that uh, line is true, but I don't want to like say that we should feel that always. Like, like we should, but it's also a way for us to say that we're capable to do that, but if you're not feeling that way, like it's okay. And I like that you said that biking or like finding hobbies that
Yes,
can like
keep your sanity.
keep your sanity intact or at least release some stress is very important. So yeah, thank you for sharing, Irene. Now let's proceed to Sir John. Hindi ikaw, John. Si Sir JD tayo. Sir JD, dalawa kayong John. So, Sir JD, any tips po like for your us to stay productive or like continuing to get quality work?
I always go into a principle that, and before I would say that, I think Irene would agree that before I kind of mastered how to really manage people is I really had to manage myself also. Before, honestly, I'm high strung. If I need things done, anything's done, ora orada, I need it now. Recently, I realized that when you kind of oversee not only yourself, but oversee a lot of people, you have to be at the top shape in terms of your mindset, in terms of your perception. So I always am a believer now that we work to live, but we don't live to work. So basically, there's more to life than work. We should not be forgetting that we work in order for us to survive, but we don't just basically live just for the main reason that we work. So what I normally do is that at the end of the day, I will make it still a point that by 5 p.m., even if it's a work from home, I step out of my house. Step out meaning I don't go to the mall because it's still a community. What I do is I just drive and I just watch a beautiful sunset somewhere without leaving the car. Or I would call my parents or I would talk to my friends. Things that could take you away from work, because at the end of the day, a new perception or a new paradigm would always give you a fresh eye in terms of how you do things. One thing also is that this entire pandemic taught me how to manage my time, that you should not be stepping away as to how your routine does in the past. Like, you still have to wake up in the morning, take a shower, at least wear a decent clothes or wear a decent shirt before starting your job, because that basically gives you the sense of normalcy. And I think that should not be taken away from our system up to the time that we could go back to really what the normal is. And I think that's what I could share, friends.
Thanks, Sir JD. I like what you said about like going back to a sense of normalcy. Like even if we are in work from home setup, if you're finding it very hard to, adjust, find some ways that you can go back to normal even in this pandemic. It's the small things that can make you smile that matters, because at the end of the day we are working, but we shouldn't let our work, live our lives. So thank you for sharing. Next, John, diba? What can you say?
Well, I agree to the both of them. If I may add, one thing is you have to be inspired, and in order to have the fire burning in you to continue your work and be productive. Being inspired for me at home is being with my family. Since I worked over 5 years away from them, and now I was able to go back home, then there's you have a source of inspiration. Also, if you have free time, since you're not going out, you can watch. Like for me, I got addicted to K dramas now, so I mean that's one way to be inspired. But with that you have to be disciplined as well. Um, you know when to stream Netflix, and you know when to do your work. So in that case, your company won't suffer since they're paying you. So you have to deliver. So being inspired and being disciplined goes on the same path. So para hindi maderil yung goal ng company. And at the same time, you keep yourself as happy as now. So kasi it's hard, you can't go out. Wala ka ng venue to enjoy your earnings. So yeah.
Enjoy your earnings talaga, no? Parang
Yeah.
daming earnings tayo, no? Daming earnings and naging bills. But I just want to add, like, I know, like, all of you are now at your homes, you have your families with you. In a place of someone who's living alone or who is away from home, like, work from home is incredibly challenging. I realize that I have to cook my own meals. I have to do the laundry. Like, I have to do everything. Like, before, I can just buy stuff from McDonald's or Jollibee. Like, obvious naman tayo, di ba? But now I feel like I have to, if I go out, I have to take a bath again. There's a lot of clothes. So it gets very overwhelming to stay productive. Like, you have to be productive in your work. You have to be productive at home, because if not, you'll be living in a pigsty. But um, I would suggest that, you should have a strict schedule of what time you start and what time you end. And if you're looking for work tricks, I would suggest, like, find, like, look at to-do lists, Pomodoro timer works. Um, Contact friends after the day, like have an online inuman, char. But like, it's all about fostering relationships when you feel alone and when you feel overwhelmed, and you're making the most of the trust that your company has given you. Like, we don't talk more about this. Like, in online, we are saying that you should be able to work from home, but if you're not delivering good quality, you don't deserve to go to work from home, because if you need, like, management, like direct leadership to actually give out quality work, so that you're defeating the process of working from home. So you need to be considerate of the company's needs, and hopefully the company will also be considerate with your needs. So yan lang, just to end the productivity thing and how to take advantage of the work from home setup. Okay, next question. uh, we're talking about, like, COVID setup for IT. Like, as a developer right now, do you think that in the future this pandemic will change, like, the way companies hire, or, like, what's the future of tech after COVID-19? Like, a lot of people are transitioning online, so that means there's a lot of opportunities for us. Like, there's a lot of people asking for apps to be created for their businesses, and then with no there's no restriction of who can work for whom. Like, companies like Microsoft or big Google companies will allow eventually work from home. So you can now work for an American-based company remotely. Like, it's a normal thing now. Hopefully in the future, like, what's the future for IT? Anyone who has already an answer. I know it's a big Miss Universe question, but anyone who wants to answer, please do. And if you're watching online, please comment your questions in the GDG Bacolod Live uh, Facebook page. We can look on that later, and make sure to share your experience using the hashtag DevFest 2020 and DevFest Bacolod and hashtag GDG Bacolod. Okay, do we have a
I
question?
uh,
Yes, Sir
I think,
JD.
France, I give that answer. I was interviewed by DOST and Teleradio of IDS some nights ago. I think it was last week. Uh, I was very bold in saying that the IT BPM industry, which is actually where the tech industry is going to be an industry that would lift up the economy of the Philippines back to where it should be. I think, well, I would definitely say the three of you would understand that in all of the other industries, aside from the government or public service, the healthcare, which are the hospitals and the clinics, the industry that is least affected is actually the tech industry. You're right, there are a lot of requirements right now for software development, for application development. Um, but I think it's really more of, Irene said it earlier, and John also agreed to it, that it is the industry that is flexible enough that made the transition to the new normal. It not might be that easy, but seemed like a walk in the park. Because I think for the longest time, we were trying to clamor for work from home, work from home, work from home. And I think it's not just going to put the economy back into its place, but I think we are at the forefront of making sure that the community will be ready to go back to normal. And I'm pretty sure of that, because that's how things are right now in terms of the conventional and the other businesses outside of the tech industry. So yeah.
Thank you, sir, JD. I do agree that we transitioning to work from home is very possible, and hopefully we can see that very soon. So I'm very hopeful for that. And we have Sir Jovel here. Hi, sir. Welcome back.
He's back.
Hi.
You're back.
Sorry, guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
No
Parts
problem.
of working online.
Yeah. So this is a legit issue when you're working or like a Zoom meeting, diba? Someone gets disconnected in the middle of a presentation. So we're happy that we're able to cope with it. So sir, the question was actually like, what's the future for tech as an IT in the IT sector, as an IT developer? Like what can we expect after the pandemic or in the next couple of years? So let me go to John.
For me, I think we're really moving towards flexibility. Um, it's not a question anymore of how long do you spend in the office. Um, it's more of what can you deliver. So I think we're moving towards that based on my um,
But based on your okay, thanks, John. I love what you said. Like, it's not just how many hours you spend in the office. It's like, what kind of work can you do? Like, if you can work a 1 hour, 8 hour job for 4 hours, then that maximizes your skills in a way that you can be given another task, no? But you can use that 4 hours into growing more and upskilling. So yeah, that's actually a call for us in the tech industry. Like, we are all online right now, so use this also as a way to upskill and then be with the growing flexibility of tech. Now let's go to Dyrene. As a woman in tech, what's what's next in IT in the new normal?
Maybe first, what I have noticed, if there is one positive thing about this pandemic, I think it's how people begins to appreciate and embrace system automation. And because I have noticed before, like some people are not seeing the importance, especially of data centralization. That could be useful if if it was implemented long before this pandemic, especially in contract con, contact tracing, and because data are just data until they are being collected and becomes an information. And once we have that information, it's up to us what we can do about it. Uh, because we now have the information, we can create now something that could actually help our place, our environment. And also, it is something like a lot of people are afraid of technology because of the thought of it, it could or would substitute humans. But actually, it is not. It is there to help us to be even more helpful in making this world a bit for example, in making this world a better place for everyone, or easier. Like if we notice, everything is a click away, and all we have to do is believe that what we are creating is something that is helpful and something that really matters. I think that's one of the steps, or one of the steps we can make for what's next to this tech industry.
Thanks, Dyrene. I really like what you said that we are we should not be afraid with tech. Like we should harness tech. Like I know it's much more like harder to do than than saying that we should like make use of the data that we have. But being aware that we have the power and the capacity to make use of that data is very important right now, especially in this pandemic. Like we know already, like I think Bill Gates mentioned this in his last forum or segment, that the next war wouldn't be a nuclear war, it would be like health related. So we now have COVID-19. We have a precedent that this virus can attack us internally without any weapon. And what can we do us in the tech field? And going to startups, Sir Jovel, welcome back. I need your answer. Miss Universe po tayo dito. What's the future for tech after the new normal?
Uh, that's a very interesting question because, well, again, the fact that we got caught off guard by this pandemic speaks a lot about where we are right now. I think tech should also leverage in the fact that there's so many uncertain things that can come along the way, and if a tech can be developed to help us cope with those uncertainties, then perhaps that would lead us into a more stable, more certain future. When it comes to startups, I think uh, the the new normal will exist for some time. So I guess if we can go back to the old normal, it's up to the tech community to create that new normal environment using the technology that we have. So I think that would be the challenge for the devs. How can we create a world that feels like the pre-COVID world with the threat of the pandemic still existing?
Thanks, Sir Jovel. I hope that we can actually learn from our current mistakes and then hopefully create something new, like an app probably to test this. I don't know yet. I'm just like giving ideas out the bat here, but I know if there are aspiring tech enthusiasts there or developers who wants to learn more and then be able to create an impact right now, this is the best time to do it. Like if you don't think that you are good enough to code or to actually have skills in AI to analyze data, then study more. And this is opportunity for you to get out there and then harness your skills. And if you're a business owner trying to find like what's the best next best thing for your company or your establishment, which is pandemic, like you need to do research, then you need to be online and see how the future of tech will actually make our lives better, hopefully, in the future. Okay, last two questions na tayo so that, we still have our Saturdays before we go back to work from home setup again. But actually, I am working in the office on Monday, so I just want to share this one to those who are wondering like how to go back to normal. You need to have certain rules and protocols in your company in order to come back. Like everyone should wear a mask, everyone should be proactive and following the rules, and then they should be able to understand like really proper hand washing. Like it's all the small steps that we need to do in order to keep yourself safe and your family safe. It's possible. It's just you need to be really strict in implementing this one. So good luck to everyone who is trying to transition back to the office. It will be a challenge, but it's possible. We're still trying our best to do it. And yeah, it's possible. And good luck to everyone who is still working from home. I hope that we can all be productive and put out quality work. Okay, second to the last question is, for you, as an IT person, what could have been done better in this pandemic? Like, we have talked about like what is the capacity of tech right now, but seeing this 6 months, what kind of things could have been done better if we had the chance? Another Miss Universe question. Yeah, I'm just gonna ask like one or two like people who are okay to answer this one. Yeah, let me just say this. I had a very difficult time. Not really very difficult, exage naman. But, being away from home, then I have senior citizen parents. Like the contract tracing app in Bacolod was a struggle for me to actually explain what it does. So I eventually told them, you print this and then carry this everywhere. Like, it's so hard to teach tech to the non-tech people. So I would understand if parents are struggling with modular learning right now. So that's one. Okay, what else po? Like could have been done
Maybe
better?
this topic is like opening that can
Pandora's
of
box.
worms. Yeah. Well, maybe what could have done better is if we relate it to software development. For example, usually we do like document testing implementation. That's how we usually do it. Like we gather data and then we test the data. We are not yet implementing. We should first make sure that everything is catered, everything is covered, something like that. But I guess what happened um, with the past few months was the reverse: implementation, testing,
That's
and then documentation. So I guess it could have been
better.
better, yeah, if if first there's like a documentation, really, the documentation part, and then making sure that it works not just for the uh, middle class or middle class or something like that, that everyone is like it is fair for whatever status you're at, and then that's the time that they implement, like, yeah. For me.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. Like, in software development, we got to analyze the requirements, we get to plan for it, and then like analyze if it really works, and then before we roll out it to the public. Right now, we are just rolling out things, and if it works, like we do it. But if it doesn't, like we take it back, we tweak it some more, and get it back. Like I understand, like we can't, we can't blame like the tech for industry for this because there's no way that we are able to plan for this. Like we can't plan for this, right? Like this happened, and the ability to just cope with it is amazing. Like if you eventually found out like we can do this, like, but I agree. Like in the next couple of, hopefully we can learn from this, and then and follow it in the right way, software development style. But Sir JD, I heard that you're smiling. I see that you're smiling while Dyrene was talking. So, like, do you have anything to add, lang po?
Well, I think it's more of I have to remind everybody that remember the IRR of the what was that, anti terrorism act is already in place.
Mm-hmm.
So no, it was supposed to be a joke.
Sorry. Okay.
No. On the onset of the pandemic, remember that there were even a change in classification. Before, for sure, you were familiar with person under monitoring, person under investigation. In the middle of us implementing the public health control, PUI and PUMs are not used right now. I mean, that has also evolved. During the time, there was a change in terms of how many days should a positive index should be quarantined. So we were talking about 14 days and then 21, and then now, according to World Health Organization, it should only be 10 days. And then there were also talks in terms of how should we be able to have a faster recovery for the positive indices. I share with the sentiments of, I mean, especially in the tech world, we're good in agile management. Even though we could even though we could adapt easily, we need documentation to back up our changes. when I had a chance to sit down with one of the medical doctors in Bacolod, I was asking him. I said, "Why is it that it's too easy for the health department to change?" And that is not only in the Philippines. How the Center for Disease Control in the U.S. is changing the way they look at things. Why is it that fast? Na parang, why are we changing rules in the middle of the game? Why have we not thought about this? He said a perfect line to me that actually changed my perception. The first one was that, remember, this is a new virus. We don't know how the virus and what the character is and how the behavior is. We don't even know that those that are positive, are confirmed positive COVID-19 patients, we don't know what will be the effect of the virus in their system. We call it the post-infection. We don't know what will happen to those that were critical and then they were able to survive it. Are they still prone to reinfection? And apparently, after a series of studies, they are prone to reinfection. The entire pandemic gave us just a very clear sign and a clear-cut data that nobody knows what's going to happen next. Even though, and I think everyone would agree that there is no such thing as perfect program or perfect application. No matter how good we do our testing, how good we do our design, in the implementation, you would just be shocked, like, how in the world is that script will not run now? I mean, those are the things that normally my teammates would always tell me, sir, even though we would release the quality certificate for that, there would still be a possibility that a certain functionality will not run. What I think I appreciated much is more, what I think was lacking on the way we were managing it is a clear-cut communication of the data. Because I don't think we're stupid enough not to understand it. But if someone explained it pretty well, like, why are we changing this? We're not stupid not to absorb it. Like, do we have any choice? We would react, but still we would follow it. And I think that is what was missing along the way. That if the cascading of the information and the communication line was open, if the Public Information Office is not just so focused on political scenario, but really focused on educating the public, that could have made a big impact. Because remember, we're facing a pandemic that nobody knows what's going on. Even the healthcare workers are saying we don't know what is the real character of the virus. The main aim for the public is to be informed and to be educated. But I think that was what was literally missing in this entire response to the pandemic. And I think we all are learning it the hard way, that we are now looking at our public servants, that I think the first thing that we would have to have required of them before voting for them is that they know what crisis management is. And I think it is very apparent right now that majority of our public servants do not even know what crisis management is, what crisis communication is, what crisis and risk mitigation is all about in terms of software development. And you'd have to realize that the agile way of management, even though it started in software, is now actually being accepted and being observed by other industries. And that's what I really appreciated being in this industry. So yeah.
Very well said, Sir JD. Like I like you actually answered the question. Like Darian made a good point. Like, and then what you said about like learn, like if you don't know anything about this thing, what should we do? We need to understand it more. And it's not enough that we understand it. We should also communicate it better so that all people from all walks of life are educated. Like we see in social media people saying that this COVID-19 is not real, or this is just a way for people to make more money. And sadly there are things that are people who are taking advantage of these types of people. But as people in tech, we are the ones who are easily are capable of doing research. So it's kind of our responsibility to spread facts And if we're not spreading facts, at least let's not spread lies
Exactly.
or fake news, because it's our responsibility. Because we know how to Google. Not everyone knows how to Google. Not everyone has mobile data. We get the latest. So that is our responsibility. Yes. Okay. So this is my last question, guys. I thank you so much for sparing your Saturday with us, Sir Jovel. Thank you for coming back to us. My last question is actually very simple. What are your last words when it comes to basic like theme, what impact and what developers can do, what kind of initiatives we can do as people in tech, like as a community like GDGs, before we have in-person events, and then to foster knowledge and connect other developers within same like that mind people to learn more together. And now we're transitioning to online sessions. um in your like own words, what is your final remarks or final advice to people, and just talking about what a developer can do in this pandemic?
I
Sige,
think
Sir Joe. Yeah, sige,
oh,
Sir JD.
sige, sorry. I just
No
would want to
problem.
say that we are all agitated. We all want to leave our houses. We all wanted to go back to the normal way of things. In the moment we don't get the right answers, the moment that we don't get the perfect picture, that's where anxiety settles in, because you don't know what's happening. The moment that we know what is happening, we know how to position ourselves, we know how to defend what's coming. But if there would be one request that I could ask for everybody, and not only that I work closely with the Emergency Operations Center of Bacolod, but also working closely with the implementer for National Interagency Task Force for Visayas, it's really more of, instead of reacting, we have to be very proactive. We have to really put understanding on top of everything. We know that you might have a different eye or a different way of looking at it, but we have to understand where we all are coming from. It's a time that I think we have to exercise what is ethically right, and that is to understand where we all are coming from. What might be right for me might not be right for you. What might not be right for me might be right for you. But that doesn't mean that you are better and I'm lesser. And that doesn't mean again that I am better and you're lesser. It just proves to show that we are all coming from different perspectives. But what would make us stand as one is to understand that we are a community. And as a community, it should be communal. We should understand each other and face this squarely as one. And I think that is not just going to be applicable in the tech realm, but also in terms of how we look at our family, how we look at our friends, how we look at the entire community. We call out if we need to be called out, but we appreciate if we have to appreciate the news. And I think those are my last words.
Thank you, Sir JD. Appreciate if you need to appreciate. Call out if you need to call out. Be sensitive with one another. And always remember that we are in this together. Thank you, Sir JD. Okay, who's next? Maybe Sir Jovel, you want to add?
Yeah, thank you. That's actually the first time that JD took the mic away from me to answer. Anyway, uh, I think this is also building up on what he said. The first step in design thinking is actually to empathize. You have to put yourself in the shoes of the people. As tech people, as dev people, we realize a lot of things in this pandemic, and we're able to adapt because of technology. But if we can spend some time to look behind and try to empathize on those people who do not have the resources that we have, like those people who do not have the technology that we have. As developers, as in the tech industry, I think if we can spare some time to try to remember or try to empathize with them, what can we do to help? What technology can be developed, to give them a fair chance of adapting to this COVID-19. As again, as what everyone has been saying, we're all in this together, and we cannot just leave them because we have our technology. Instead, we can use our technology and bring everyone together and rise as one. I think that's my let's all try to create solutions and technologies for everyone. Uh, don't let anyone be left behind because of this pandemic.
Thank you, Sir Jovel. Very well said. Like, we together we will rise, definitely. Like, it's not just, you have like, you're okay. You have Netflix at home. Like, quarantine is okay. Like, I don't understand why people are, like, going out there, like, trying to find some job, trying to find some income. Like, that is not the right mindset. Like, you need to understand, you need to walk in their shoes. Like, do they have why are they acting this way? Is it because their livelihood is affected by COVID-19? Why are they so mad? Why are they acting like that? Why do they need change? So it's all about, hopefully, as people in tech, we can create solutions to help them in their scenario. So thank you, Sir Jovel. Next, who do you want to go first? John or Dyrene?
Okay, I'll go first. Um, my last words or uh, sort of say a piece of advice to developers. Yes, we need to be proactive in the community. Yeah, and we need to create things that will help people, our people especially. So um, we can do this by several platforms. For example, with GDG Bacolod, like as of the moment, yeah, we're holding the DevFest, so that's one of that. And there are a lot of venues actually. Social media is one. So by simply, since you have the skills and the tools, why not create or develop solutions to the problems within your community? So it doesn't mean that you have to do it alone. You have several communities out there that can help you. I think with that, I think we can really move forward from this pandemic. I think
Thank,
that's my takeaway.
thank you, John. I thank you for sharing that one. Yeah, we can do this alone. Like you can actually create something in your own backyard, but it takes more than one person to actually implement it, and then to actually check if that works. It's not just creating this thing for you. It's more like who else will use it? Like what's the use of that? What's the point? So thank you, John, for sharing, and stay tuned for more events for GDG. Like just to plug it in, we still have one round of like two round of talks in the next couple of weeks. Like this is just the first day of DevFest. If you want to go into more technical and then more in-depth programming or development topics, find that on the next weeks. This forum is actually made for a check-in, like how is local developers in Bacolod doing, like how are we doing as we transition to the new normal. So Dyrene, yes, what's your final words, or not really final words, I don't like the term final words, I'm sorry for using that, like as we end this forum, like what can you say?
Maybe for me, we should get rid of arguments and rather focus on discussions because arguments are about who's right, who's wrong, but discussion is about what is right, what is true, and what is correct. And I guess that is a important part also for us. Tech makers. I mean that we always verify the information that we are um, spreading because we never know how powerful of influencers or whatsoever we are, and then we spread something that is not true, and we are responsible for that. And lastly, wear a mask. It's a sign of respect. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Dyrene. Yes, definitely wear a mask, guys. If you're ever going out, please wear a mask. And yeah, if there's one thing actually that you will take away from this talk, it's wear a mask and stay at home. Like you don't have to go into like thinking about yourself ethically or what kind of things you have to be productive, but always remember to wear a mask because again, we're all in this together. Let's help the world heal one mask at a time. So yeah, thank you again, Sir
Thank you.
JD, Sir Novel, John, Irene.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for joining this forum, and thank you to all our audience who are still watching the Facebook Live and GDG Bacolod page. And yeah, I just there's a lot of points that are actually discussed today. I can't really point them out, but take some things that is useful for you, especially how to stay productive, how to avoid burnouts, like what, like how to get a positive mindset and perspective in this COVID-19. Like this pandemic will definitely be here for a long time. Like it will be, it might even be until next year. So as people in tech, we need to learn to adapt, to adjust, and to make most of what we are, what we have, and most importantly, continue doing what we do because yeah, our industry is not really that affected when pandemic happened. So let's use that advantage to helping those who were greatly affected. That's our responsibility. That's our privilege. So thank you to everyone who joined this part one of DevFest Bacolod series. We have still part two and part three in the next couple of weeks. We will be talking about Flutter, machine learning, and web development in the next couple of weeks. So thank you, GDG Bacolod, for inviting us. And if you want to connect with John, Irene, Sir Dovin, and JD, I think you can look at GDG Bacolod page for their information and from their company organization. And if you want to follow me and Take It or Leave It, just plug in, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, Twitter at Take It or Leave It. I'll be happy to talk to you more. And if you want to have more discussions like this, you can check it out on Spotify. So before we end, I want to ask for a group photo. We can still do this group photo, guys. I want you to face your camera. Like Sir Rix, Dave, if you want to join, please, like, let's join para medyo hindi naman five yung group photo natin. Can you please take the photo po? Like, I need the confirmation. Ayun, we have our organizers here. Yes, I don't think you can see them on Facebook Live though, but they are here. Okay, picture tayo in 3, 2. Wait, who's taking the screenshot, by the way? Okay, sorry, I forgot to smile. Sorry. Please. Okay, in 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you so much, guys. So this wraps up day one of the DevFest series. So thank you to our speakers, Sir Jovel from TUP, Sir JD from Highbrain, John from SkySwitch, and Irene from Bitronics and Polarium. I'm not sure. I'm sorry. I think I actually murdered your name, but thank you to all our audience who joined us to this 4-hour segment, and make sure to check out all our other segments in the next weeks to come. Shout out to everyone, Sir Jeremiah, Sir Stephen. Thank you for joining us, and take care. Wear a mask, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next series. Bye.
Bye.